What if I told you that the advice to completely avoid bread, rice, and potatoes is not only unrealistic, it might be unnecessary? What if you could enjoy these beloved comfort foods again without the fear of sending your blood sugar on a painful roller coaster? For so many of us, especially those of us over 60, a meal can feel like a minefield of calculations and anxiety. You're told to give up the very foods that are staples of your cuisine, the comfort foods you've loved your entire life. It's frustrating. It feels like a life sentence of deprivation, and frankly, it often doesn't work long term. The good news is, there is a better way, a smarter way. You see, the common advice we've all been given is missing several crucial pieces of the puzzle. What if there are simple, science-backed strategies that can fundamentally change the way your body processes these carbohydrates? We're not talking about fad diets or impossible restrictions. We're talking about powerful, practical knowledge that puts you back in the driver's seat of your own health. Over the next few minutes, we're going to unpack these strategies one by one. We'll start with a foundational habit that changes the very nature of the carbs you eat. Then we'll move through secrets of food synergy, timing, and a simple 10-minute reset that can work wonders. But I need you to promise me you'll stay for the final reveal. The last strategy we'll discuss, our ultimate game-changing revelation, is the one that is most often overlooked. It's a bit of kitchen magic, backed by solid science that can transform starchy foods you thought were off-limits into allies for your metabolic health. If you're ready to reclaim your seat at the dinner table with confidence, consider subscribing to our community. We're all on this journey together. And just a quick important reminder, all the information shared today is for educational purposes. Everyone's health situation is unique, so please consult your doctor or healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your diet, exercise, or health regimen. Let's use this knowledge to have informed discussions with them. All right, are you ready? Let's begin. Our foundational habit, rethinking carb quality. First, let's start with a crucial concept that forms the bedrock of everything else we'll discuss. You've probably heard the advice to cut out carbs 1,000 times, but this advice is often too simplistic and, frankly, not very helpful. It's not the carbohydrates themselves that are the villain. It's the type and quality of those carbs that make all the difference. A significant challenge many of us face, especially as we get older and our bodies become more sensitive, is our reliance on highly processed carbohydrates. These are the foods where the grain has been milled, stripped of its natural fiber and nutrients, and ground into a fine, fast-digesting powder. Think of most fluffy white breads, many popular breakfast cereals, pastries, crackers, and chips. To truly grasp how this works, let's use an analogy. Imagine you're trying to build a long-lasting, steady fire in your fireplace to keep your home warm all evening. These highly processed carbs are like throwing a handful of sawdust and kindling onto the flames. You get a huge, immediate burst of fire, a big, hot flash, but it dies down just as quickly, leaving you cold and needing more fuel. That flash of fire is the blood sugar spike. It's fast, furious, and often followed by an energy crash that leaves you feeling drained and hungry again. But when you choose carbohydrates that are whole, minimally processed, and high in fiber, you're making a different choice. Think of steel-cut oats, barley, quinoa, brown rice, beans, and lentils. These are like placing a solid, dense log on the fire. It doesn't flare up dramatically. Instead, it catches slowly, burning steadily and evenly, releasing consistent heat for a very long time. For your body, this means a much gentler, smaller, and more manageable glucose curve, without the sharp spikes and draining crashes. This is our foundational habit, shifting from kindling to logs. Therefore, the first and most accessible change you can make is to scrutinize the carbohydrates you bring into your home. Look for foods in their most whole and natural state. One of the most important components of these log carbs is fiber. Fiber is a type of carbohydrate that your body can't digest, and it's an absolute superstar for blood sugar control. It acts like a sponge in your digestive system, slowing down the absorption of sugar, which prevents those rapid spikes. It also feeds the good bacteria in your gut, which research is increasingly showing plays a vital role in regulating inflammation and improving insulin sensitivity. And of course, it helps you feel full and satisfied, which helps prevent overeating. This is why a low-carb diet that neglects fiber misses a huge opportunity. The benefits are just too massive to ignore. So, our first step isn't about deprivation, it's about a strategic upgrade. The synergy secret, the power of food pairing. Okay, so you've upgraded the quality of your carbs. That's a fantastic first step. But now we get to what I call the synergy secret, because what you eat with your carbohydrates can be just as important as the carbs themselves. Rarely do we eat carbs all by themselves, and this is where we can be incredibly strategic. The golden rule here is to never let a carbohydrate go out alone. Some people call this avoiding naked carbs. Difficulties can arise when we consume a starchy or sugary carbohydrate in isolation, say a plain bagel, a bowl of rice, or a handful of crackers on an empty stomach. When that carb enters your system solo, there's nothing to slow its journey. It's a direct, fast track to being broken down into glucose and hitting your bloodstream, demanding a massive and rapid insulin response from your pancreas. Over time, making your pancreas work that hard, that often, can contribute to worsening insulin resistance. So, how do we provide that carbohydrate with some helpful friends to escort it on its journey? Let's go back to our fire analogy. You've got your log burning steadily. Adding protein and healthy fats is like placing a fire screen in front of the fireplace. The screen doesn't stop the heat, but it moderates it, ensuring the heat radiates out into the room more gently and safely. Protein and fat act as that moderating force in your stomach. A large-scale meta-analysis of 154 trials showed that simply adding protein to a carbohydrate meal can reduce the glucose spike by a significant amount. Fat also plays a crucial role by slowing down how quickly your stomach empties its contents into the small intestine. This means adding things like chicken, fish, tofu, or eggs to your meal is a powerful move. The same goes for healthy fats from sources like avocado, olive oil, nuts, and seeds. Therefore, when you pair your carbs, you're essentially creating a slow-release mechanism for the glucose. This is why a meal of beans and rice is metabolically superior to a meal of just rice. The protein and fiber from the beans buffer the response from the rice. It's why potatoes with a pat of butter or a drizzle of olive oil often produce a gentler glucose response than a plain baked potato. But the secret doesn't stop there. Another powerful partner for your carbs is acid. Things like vinegar or a squeeze of lemon or lime juice can actually lower the rate at which starch is broken down. Vinegar has also been shown in some studies to improve insulin sensitivity in your muscles. It's a simple, ancient trick with profound metabolic benefits. Lay a splash of vinaigrette on your salad, a squeeze of lemon over your fish and potatoes. These small additions are not just for flavor, they are potent tools for blood sugar management. This is the essence of food synergy, creating a meal where the sum is far greater and metabolically safer than its individual parts. The circadian key: honor your body's natural clock. This next strategy is one that's gaining more and more scientific attention, and it has to do with when you eat, not just what you eat. We can call it the circadian key because it's about aligning our eating patterns with our body's natural internal 24-hour clock. Many of us have fallen into the habit of eating late at night. It could be a late dinner after a busy day, or a snack while watching television before bed. A key consideration here is that while your mind might be ready to unwind, your body's metabolic machinery is already starting its nightly shutdown sequence. Your ability to process food, especially carbohydrates, is not the same at 9 p.m. as it is at 1 p.m. Think of your digestive system and your pancreas, the organ that produces insulin, as a dedicated team of daytime workers at a factory. During the day, they are fully staffed, alert, and operating at peak efficiency. Health experts often highlight that our insulin sensitivity is highest in the morning and early afternoon. During these hours, the factory can handle large shipments of glucose, process them, and distribute them flawlessly. But as evening approaches, that factory begins to power down for the night. The late shift is just a skeleton crew. They are slower, less efficient, and easily overwhelmed. When you eat a meal late at night, especially one containing carbohydrates, you're essentially dumping a massive, unexpected shipment on that skeleton crew. They simply can't handle it as well. The outcome is that glucose doesn't get processed efficiently. It lingers in your bloodstream for much longer, leading to elevated blood sugar levels throughout the night and into the morning. This can not only affect your blood sugar readings, but also disrupt the quality of your sleep, creating a vicious cycle of poor sleep and poor metabolic health. This isn't just a theory, it's rooted in our physiology. Our insulin sensitivity naturally decreases as the day goes on. To add to this, our bodies produce melatonin in the evening to prepare us for sleep. A fascinating discovery is that melatonin can actually further reduce insulin secretion from the pancreas. So, you have a double whammy. Your body is already less sensitive to insulin, and it's producing less of it. Therefore, the later you eat, the worse your glucose response will be, even for the exact same meal. The solution is wonderfully simple, though it may require a shift in habits. Aim to eat your last meal of the day at least 3 hours before you go to bed. This gives your body, that hard-working factory, ample time to process your dinner and begin its crucial nighttime repair and restoration work without being burdened by a late-night glucose surge. Unlocking this circadian key is a powerful way to work with your body's natural rhythm, not against it. The 10-minute metabolic reset, your post-meal powerhouse. Now we're getting into strategies that can provide almost immediate feedback. This one is about what you do right after you finish a meal, and it's an incredibly powerful tool, a simple 10-minute walk. We often feel like slumping onto the couch after a satisfying meal. The critical issue is that precisely when the glucose from your food is starting to enter your bloodstream. Just sitting there allows that sugar to rise unchecked. But engaging in light physical activity at this exact moment can completely change the trajectory of that glucose curve. To understand why this is so effective, let's use an analogy. Imagine that the glucose entering your bloodstream is like water flowing from a faucet into a sink. If the drain is plugged, the sink will fill up very quickly and eventually overflow. That overflow is your blood sugar spike. Your muscles, however, are like a series of large, thirsty sponges. They are hungry for glucose, it's their primary fuel. When you're sitting still, those sponges are just lying there, dry and unused. The moment you start moving, whether it's walking, climbing stairs, or even just doing chores around the kitchen, you activate those sponges. You are literally opening up the drain in the sink. The most powerful of these sponges is a muscle in your calf called the soleus. It's often called a metabolic powerhouse because it can soak up a tremendous amount of glucose from the bloodstream very quickly without needing a lot of insulin to do so. It's a special muscle made of slow-twitch fibers, which means it can work for long periods without getting tired, making it perfect for light, sustained activity like walking. Therefore, a short 10-minute walk immediately after a meal acts as a metabolic reset. It calls your muscles into action right when the fuel is arriving. They begin soaking up that glucose, using it for energy instead of letting it accumulate in your blood. A randomized controlled trial published in a leading diabetes journal demonstrated that this short walk can significantly lower post-meal glucose levels. It's an elegant and immediate solution. The best part is that it doesn't have to be strenuous. A gentle, steady pace is perfect. The key is the timing, as soon as possible after you finish eating. Now, when it comes to a new physical activity like this, it's especially important for us to approach it with awareness. A 10-minute gentle walk is wonderfully accessible for most people, but please remember to start gently and listen to your body. If walking isn't an option, even simple movements like marching in place or doing some bodyweight squats can make a difference. And as always, it's wise to discuss any new form of exercise with your doctor, especially if you have ongoing health considerations. Our goal here is empowerment through knowledge, so you can make the best choices for your unique situation. This simple habit can transform your post-meal experience from a period of anxiety into a moment of active management and control. The strategic meal sequence, the carbs last rule. This next secret is so simple yet so profound it can feel like a magic trick. It involves eating the exact same foods you already are, but in a different order. I call it the strategic meal sequence, and the rule is simple. Eat your carbohydrates last. The key factor we're aiming to influence here is the speed of absorption. When you start a meal with bread, juice, or another fast-acting carb, you're sending a surge of sugar into an empty waiting system. There's nothing ahead of it to slow it down. It's like sending a race car down an empty highway. It hits top speed almost instantly, resulting in that sharp glucose peak we want to avoid. This is especially challenging in restaurants, where they often bring a bread basket or chips and salsa to the table long before your main course arrives. But what if we could place a few gentle speed bumps on that highway? That's exactly what you do when you eat your protein, non-starchy vegetables and healthy fats first. The fiber from the vegetables and the protein and fat from your main course create a sort of buffer in your stomach. They begin the digestive process and signal to your body that food is on the way, which can even help prime a more effective insulin response. To explain this, let's use a new analogy. Think of your stomach as the top of a funnel, leading to your small intestine where glucose is absorbed. If you pour pure sugar water, our naked carb, into that funnel, it rushes right through. But if you first place some absorbent cotton balls, representing your fiber-rich veggies and protein, at the bottom of the funnel and then pour the sugar water over them, what happens? It doesn't rush through. It trickles slowly and steadily. This is precisely what happens in your body. By eating the carbs last, you ensure they mix with the other foods already in your stomach. This slows down gastric emptying, and the glucose is released into your intestines much more gradually. Therefore, you get a slower, lower, and much more stable blood sugar curve. It's the same meal with the same calories and the same carbs, but with a dramatically different metabolic outcome. The science on this is incredibly clear. A randomized crossover trial with people who have type 2 diabetes found that eating protein and vegetables before carbohydrates resulted in a nearly 40% lower glucose spike. A more recent study in Japan, using continuous glucose monitors on healthy adults, confirmed that eating rice last significantly reduced the post-meal glycemic response. This is a small behavioral change that pays huge metabolic dividends. So, next time you're at a restaurant, enjoy your salad and your main entree first. Then go for that dinner roll. You might be shocked at the difference it makes. The ultimate game-changing revelation, the magic of resistant starch. We have finally arrived at the strategy I was most excited to share with you, the one that truly feels like a game-changing secret for anyone who loves bread, rice, or potatoes. This is the concept that allows you to eat these wonderful foods with more confidence. It's called resistant starch. Now, the very nature of most starchy foods is that they are designed to be broken down quickly into glucose. That's their job. This gets to the heart of the matter for anyone trying to manage their blood sugar. We eat a slice of bread, and our digestive enzymes immediately get to work, rapidly converting that starch into sugar that spikes our glucose. This is what we've always been taught, and it's why these foods are often feared. But what if you could perform a simple kitchen alchemy that changes the very molecular structure of that starch, turning a significant portion of it into something your body can't easily digest? What if you could make it resistant? This is where it gets fascinating. When you cook a starchy food like potatoes, pasta, or rice, the starch molecules gelatinize, making them very easy to digest. However, when you then cool that food down, say, in the refrigerator for at least 12 to 24 hours, a remarkable process called starch retrogradation occurs. The starch molecules realign and form tight crystalline structures. These new structures are resistant to your digestive enzymes. Let's use our final and perhaps most important analogy. Imagine a tightly wound ball of yarn. This is the uncooked starch. When you cook it, it's like you've unraveled that entire ball into a loose, messy pile of string. Your digestive enzymes can easily snip away at all those loose strands. That's the quick glucose release. But when you cool it, it's like taking that messy pile of string and meticulously weaving it into a dense, tight-knit fabric. When your digestive enzymes come along now, they can't easily snip the strands. They can only nibble at the very edges. This newly formed resistant starch travels largely undigested through your small intestine. It doesn't spike your blood sugar. Instead, it makes its way to your large intestine, where it becomes a feast for your good gut bacteria. They ferment it, producing beneficial compounds like butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that has been shown in numerous studies to actually improve your insulin sensitivity and reduce inflammation. So it's not just avoiding a negative, it's creating a positive. Therefore, by simply cooking, cooling, and then reheating your starchy foods, you fundamentally change their impact on your body. You can still enjoy them, but with a much lower glycemic response. Studies have confirmed that cooling cooked rice or potatoes for 24 hours significantly increases their resistant starch content. And clinically, eating these cooled and then reheated starches leads to reduced glucose and insulin spikes after the meal. So you do not have to give up your favorite foods. You can make a batch of rice or roast some potatoes, put them in the fridge overnight, and then reheat them for your meal the next day. You can even do this with bread by freezing it and then toasting it. It might not taste exactly the same, but it's incredibly close, and the metabolic benefits are simply too powerful to ignore. This is the ultimate secret, transforming the very foods you thought were your enemy into a powerful ally for your health. And there you have it, the ultimate game-changing revelation. It's a stunningly simple concept, that a change in temperature can change the very nature of our food, and it's a perfect example of why we built up to it as our grand reveal. It's knowledge that gives you power. So we've covered a lot of ground today. We started with our foundational habit of choosing high-quality, log-burning carbs over Kindling. We built on that with the synergy secret of never letting your carbs go out alone. We honored our body's rhythms with the circadian key, learned about the 10-minute metabolic reset, to use our muscles as glucose sponges, and unlocked the power of the strategic meal sequence by saving our carbs for last. Each one is a stepping stone to a more vibrant, healthier you in control of your own body. Which of these insights, perhaps it was the simple power of a 10-minute walk, or maybe the eye-opening carbs last rule, or even our ultimate game-changer of resistant starch, resonated with you the most? Which one are you thinking of trying first? I would genuinely love to hear your thoughts, so please share them in the comments below. If you found this journey through these health discoveries valuable, please give this video a thumbs up. It truly helps others find our community. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more powerful strategies tailored just for us. Until next time, stay healthy, stay curious, and keep thriving.